Hey everyone, it's the interview queen Alicia Atout here, and it is my absolute pleasure to welcome you all to interview round 3 with Paul of LANY. Welcome.
What's up, everyone?
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. Going into this interview, I was looking back at some of our previous ones, and the first one was from 2016, then the last one was 2 years back, and it's just absolutely crazy to see
Did,
how much has changed since then.
did we talk to you at, was that
Way home.
way home? Yeah.
Yep, and the second time was in Toronto, so
So cool.
nice to be catching up.
Good to see you, man.
Same with you. And times have obviously changed quite a bit since then, not just musically and personally, but just the times we're living in right now are a little nuts. So how are you holding up with everything in general over there?
I'm doing okay, I'm fortunate, you know, to have the job that I have. But, it's been a tough year, like,
Yeah.
just for everybody. And I'm ready to kind of get back to some sort of normal lifestyle.
It must be a little bizarre for you to just be at home so frequently, aside from being out recording, because you really were just go, go, go constantly.
Yeah, it was like, it was cute for the first month to like be home and like take a break and slow down. But we're an incredibly ambitious band. We love to work. We love to work hard, and we love to play shows. And so it's just we're doing whatever we can. I think we oftentimes we have conversations within the team and the band, like, do we put out this album? Do we not? Do we slow roll it? Like, what do we do? I just don't think like doing nothing is an option. I think really what the world needs right now is people doing what they were created and put on earth to do. And for us, that's writing songs and hopefully enriching or elevating someone's life experience even by like 1%. So that's what we're going to do. And hopefully we'll be able to tour it, but who really knows?
Definitely, and we're obviously going to get into the forthcoming album release soon. But you mentioned kind of trying to stay sane with everything going on and being locked up at home. So, what are some of those things you've noticed you've been doing or taken up just to stay away from that boredom?
Well, I mean, so one thing that I just do enjoy, have always enjoyed, is like the visual side of any component that we put out, whether it's EP, album, merch, whatever it is. As you can see behind me, I have like a bunch of stuff printed off the internet that, quarantine kind of gave me that opportunity to dig deep on that side of things and really develop that side of the album that in the past I've always been completely in charge of and in control of, but we had a really tight time to turn things around. So it's been cool. And then just like really random, like I go on like 5 mile walks every day, which I think I'll continue to do even when this whole thing is over with. It's just, I don't know. I enjoy walking. It kind of gets me out of the house, fresh air, it's good for my mind and my mental health. So I just do those things, but still working really hard.
We've kind of been talking already about some of those things during quarantine and how it's kind of just being blunt has sucked a bit. But something kind of neat that I came across is the fact that a couple of parents have named their little babies LANY. So when you saw that, what was your initial reaction? Because that's not a small thing.
No, it's not. I mean, I remember seeing that on Twitter a few months ago and just kind of shook. I mean, come on, that's such an honor and so flattering. And another thing that it's cool, like, we haven't been a band for super long, but, 5 years, people grow up with us, they grow up with their favorite bands. And it's interesting to see, like we're hitting a wider demographic now, which is amazing. It's cool to see fans start to have kids and raise their kids on our music. It's really, really rewarding and super special. And it makes me think that like we'll be able to play shows forever because these
Right.
kids
Never
grow up.
gonna stop.
Yeah, it's really, really cool. I mean, we're so fortunate.
No, as soon as I saw that picture pop up in my feed, I thought that was one of the sweetest things ever. I can only
Yeah.
imagine the honor, honestly. That's crazy.
I hope they like our music. Can you imagine? Like, this band
Oh
sucks.
my gosh. I couldn't imagine, no. But if their parents have good taste, hopefully that's passed on also to
Thank
the kids. Well, this year is set to see the release of your third record, Mama's Boy, which you just actually turned in a couple of weeks ago to the label. So how do you truly know when a record is done? Does it just feel polished and you feel at peace and you're just like, all right, here you go?
Yeah, I think that's exactly it. You kind of, we work on it like songs at a time. We'll open up one song, and then some kind of creative decisions that we made in that song will inform the creative decisions that we make in another song. So we're never just like starting one song, finishing it, track two, start, finish. It's never how it really works. Kind of open several at a time so the album feels cohesive. But there is a certain point where you start to push each song over the finish line. So you get all the songs around like 70 to 85% of the way there with the production and stuff like that. And then you really just start to push one across the finish line at the time. And I do think that like you definitely know when a song is not finished. You're like, there's something
It
missing.
bugs you a little bit, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
it's not hitting right. It's not exploding at this part of the song in the right way that it should. And then once you get it there, you're like, okay, yeah, it's done. So it's like it's more like when it's not done. That's the stronger feeling.
And it's obviously not your first rodeo when it comes to releasing a full length. So obviously having those two past almost trial and errors in a way leading into this third one, you're like, okay, we kind of definitely have this way of going about it. So being that third release, do you still get any album release jitters before everyone gets to hear it? Or are you kind of past that at this point?
You know what? Just to be super, super honest, like when we put out our first album, I knew that it needed more than it was on it. I knew some songs weren't that good. I'm just being super honest with you.
Right.
I'm like, you know what? And I think I've talked about this now in a few interviews today, but we can try to be the best band in the world, like the most valuable player, the MVP, or you can also strive to be like the most improved player, and to me, I think like when you look at LANY over the last 5 years, like the improvement is undeniable. Like if you go back and listen to even Hot Lights, our first song ever, and put that up against If This Is the Last Time, you're like, what? Like, do you know what I mean? I'm way.
You can hear the growth.
I'm way more proud of that, and I think after we put out our debut album, I was like, I'm never going to let an album come out again that I am not like 100% sure that it's bulletproof. And that's a term that we use a lot that came from Mike Crossy, who mixes everything now and produced Malibu Nights. He's like, let's make this bulletproof. And so when we put out Malibu Nights, I was just so excited to get it out. I wasn't nervous. And I honestly, you can't please everyone. That's something that I'm learning in life.
Yeah, you never can.
All I can is really just, all I can do is please myself, please my bandmates. And if we love it, then awesome. So if people don't like it, that's fine. There's going to be people who don't like it. But, all that to say, Malibu Nights, then Mama's Boy, like, we just wouldn't put out this album if we didn't think it was our best ever. And it is our best ever. And we're so, so proud of it. So I'm not nervous. I'm just like, I wish we could just put out a song.
You're just anxious. You're psyched.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you brought up Malibu Nights there, because you've actually said how you broke your hearts making that album and you broke your backs making Mama's Boy. So was there one of those two that you found was a bit more difficult? Because heartbreak is one of the worst things to go through, but also that hard work and not almost having that distraction of something like that, I can only imagine being equally as difficult.
Well, you know what? It's actually the easiest thing in the whole world to write a breakup album. Like, there are just so many emotions. You're so confused and you're so hurt that you could just like go on for days. So like writing that, we wrote that within like 45 days. So it's just kind of like me just
Crazy.
vomiting my emotions and all of that. I'm so proud of that album. I think it's such a great breakup album. With Mama's Boy, it's incredibly universal and really broad and cover a lot of topics. And when I finished Malibu Nights, I was like, how am I going to do this again? Like, how am I going to be this vulnerable and this transparent and potentially have to do it about topics that are not as easy to be that vulnerable? Like, it's really easy to be like, you broke up with me and it fucking makes no sense, and I'm going to write 9 songs about it, right? Or you can be like, oh my God, my parents are getting older and I probably did some stuff I need to apologize for. And like, if this is the last time I see him, I want to leave on good terms. You know, like these are hard songs to write. You know, there's another song called I Still Talk to Jesus that's like, you know what? I was raised in the church and grew up in the church. I do some things now in my lifestyle that the church does not condone. And you might not believe it, but I still talk to Jesus. Like, so what does that look like? And what does that feel like? These are big songs that are incredibly vulnerable, but they're difficult to articulate, you know? And then that's just the songwriting side. Then the production side is like, what sounds do we use? And now we've got like gospel choirs on songs. We've got a kids choir on this next single.
That's
You know, so
awesome.
we just really went for it. We've got a flugelhorn on one of our songs. Like, just, you know, and the first time we had real cello and strings, and you hear that on If This Is the Last Time, it's on another song. So, you know, we really went for it.
You had brought up If This Is the Last Time there, the latest single. And when I heard that, it really is just such a touching and loving song. And then paired with that video, it just like melts your heart a little bit. And especially in these times where everything is uncertain and you don't know if you can lose loved ones, like you just don't know what's going to happen. It really sinks in. I hope for like a lot of your listeners too, it's kind of like appreciate the people around you. And if you have things to apologize for, then kind of go forth and do so. So what really in the end made you want to write that love letter to your family? Because again, it's a very vulnerable and open release, but that is kind of the main subject of it all.
Totally. You know, it just came from being on tour last year, playing like 120 shows in the
Just
span of
missing people, eh?
7 months. Yeah. And like, just thinking like I've got family members that are getting older. They're fine. They're in fine health. But, you know, the next time I see them could be the last time I see them. So I just typed If This Is the Last Time down on my phone. And then once tour ended, we went straight to Nashville for 2 weeks to just start the writing process. And on literal day one of being in Nashville, we wrote If This Is the Last Time. And it was just, you know, I'm incredibly proud of that song. Like I said, it's not an easy song to write. And I think that we did such a good job at like splitting up the verses, like mom and dad, and then a very self-reflective half verse, like, hey, you sit back, don't go so fast. Like, so, you know, I think it really worked out and panned out well. Yeah.
It's interesting hearing you talk about it because you can really tell how proud you are of the release. So I'm so excited to actually hear it in full because what you've put out so far has been really, really awesome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Now, this is a little bit off topic from talking about the music, but you have a lot of really cool minimalist tattoos. I know your mom actually gave you a sketchbook,
Yeah.
and a little while ago, you actually wanted to get a tramp stamp and seemed pretty serious about it. So how close are you to getting that goal come into life?
You know what? It might come about. I don't know. I was going to get this as a tramp stamp, but
Okay.
like it's a barbed wire wave. So it's like Oklahoma meets California. What's really interesting is I can see Will Rogers State Beach from my window, and Will Rogers is from Oklahoma, and that's just the craziest coincidence.
Yeah.
But, you know, I just got this, which is summer in Arabic. My mom's Lebanese, and she's born
Okay.
in summer. So, and then I got like Mama's Boy tattooed on my leg like last week. That's very fresh still. So it was good to like, I think tattoo shops opened up for like a week or something here in California. I think they're closed again.
Right.
But I definitely like made an appointment as soon as they opened up. So I love tats.
Is there anything else you really have in mind you want to get once places reopen for like the third time?
I need to think because my buddy was like, hey, I'm going to have my tattoo guy come to my house. So let me know if you want to come over and get anything. And I'm like, I might be out of ideas right now.
Right.
I do. We have this line in a song that says palm trees square dancing under the moon. And I think I drew like a sketch of two palm trees crisscross with the Malibu Nights moon and then like a square. I could probably get that like tattooed on the inside of my leg. I think that looked pretty cool.
Yeah, and what a poetic thing to kind of add with all these little sketches everywhere.
You did it, Alicia.
Definitely can see it working. Well, I just want to say thank you so much, Paul, for taking the time for coming on here. It was an absolute pleasure catching up, and I really just can't wait for a Mama's Boy to be released like all your other fans and everyone else out there. So thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Everybody, this has been Paul Klein from LANY. I am the interview queen, Alicia Atout. Be sure to keep an eye out for Mama's Boy when it drops, and check out aliciaatout.com for all exclusive interviews and features. We'll see you all next time.